advisor welcomes Julian Brown, Managing Director, Head of Americas, PwC Corporate Finance. Thank you for being here today and taking time away from the forum. America and Canada have always had a great relationship. The energy markets, the distress in the energy markets worldwide, but especially in Canada, have changed the dynamics. Are there new opportunities for investment and M&A as a result of this distress?
Yes, I think there are. Essentially what you have in Canada is two economies in one country. So you basically have oil-based and natural resource-based economy, mainly around Alberta. You also have a big manufacturing base and consumer companies based in southern Ontario, right up through Montreal on the east coast. If you look at how oil prices affect what happens between those two, you'll see that as oil prices fall, the Canadian dollars are pretty much an all-time low, or it has been approaching those over at least a 10-year low. What that brings is increased competitiveness of the other industries that are up in Canada.
Okay.
So what that means is that if you were to look at someone investing US dollars into some of the other sectors in Canada today, they're getting quite a lot for their money. They're getting a good sort of currency trade. If you translate that back in that a lot of those companies are already serving US customers, then it's quite an interesting sort of scenario that's playing out.
Mm-hmm. We have an election coming up. You've had yours, Canada's had their election, but now it's time for us. And it's been quite a volatile one, an interesting one. How do you see the U.S. elections impacting our cross-border relationship with Canada?
Yeah, I think there's some interesting politics both sides of the border. I can talk about it independently, being from England. So, but what I see is there are things that appear very alien to Canadians when they look at what's happening in the US election process. Equally, Canada is the place that spawned a mayor of Toronto who was infamous for a lot of not necessarily great reasons. And I think what I see happening there is that when all of the dust settles, when all of the personalities get put to one side, structurally Canada and the US are bound at the hip. Obviously that's much more important for Canada than it is for the US, just because of the relative size of those two economies. 90% of the population of Canada lives within 100, 150 miles of the US border. So what happens here is extremely important.
It is.
Equally, I don't see anything that could be an eventual outcome of what happens in the presidential race today as really dramatically affecting the underlying trading relationship between the two countries.
Oh, and that's good, because they've always had a great relationship.
Very stable.
Yes, and it's very stable, a good place to continue to invest and work.
Indeed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Julian Brown, Managing Director, Head of Americas, PwC Corporate Finance, and a friend of M&A advisor. We appreciate you being with us.
Thanks very much.
Thank you so much.